Hola, ¿cómo están? And what is going on, guys? DarkScheme here, and Warzone Firefight, at least the beta version of it, is finally here. And I have to say, I'm having a pretty good time with it. There's definitely some things that I wish would have made it a little bit more longer for Firefight to last, but definitely a ton of fun. So I'm here to pretty much give you my first impressions on Warzone. What are some things that I like, and what are some things that I think need a little bit of fixing. So for me personally, Warzone Firefight is great for those who want to jump in and shoot a bunch of bad guys, playing cooperatively with your friends, with strangers, in any way, shape, and form. Now, one thing that I will say about Firefight is how much harder it is if you don't use rec items. I think I played about 4 matches, and for the most part, each match was pretty much similar to the other. Of course, the waves of enemies were different, but the one game that I ended up losing, I believe it was on the 3rd round, and it was the defend the base against Prometheans. That one turned out to be a lot tougher, and one of the reasons why is because people were just not using your rec items. So that is definitely one thing that I want to emphasize, is if you're going to jump into Warzone Firefight, you need to use rec items. It doesn't have to be the strongest weapons, it just needs to be something different other than the battle rifle and the assault rifle. And of course, don't forget to use those armor mods. I think one of the ones that I was using, personally my favorite, was the upgraded thruster mod. It allows it so that if you get shot, you still can sprint and regenerate your health, and also gives you a faster sprint speed if you need to get from one point to the other very quickly. I think one big tip that was coming in from everybody is if you do end up getting the defend your base from the Prometheans for wave 3, you have the option of picking up a plasma pistol, hopefully, or getting it from a rec item, and you can actually plasma pistol those Phaetons that come into the area. Once the Phaeton does go down, the enemy driving that Phaeton will jump out, and you actually have a chance to jump into the Phaeton yourself and use it against the enemies. So it's a pretty good tip. I think that's one thing for sure, is that anything that has a vehicle, I believe you should be able to hijack. So the plasma pistol is useful to use when there is a lot of enemy vehicles in the area. For the most part, I think everybody will find themselves being on foot. I only ever saw a handful of Warthogs, and when it started getting to the last few rounds is when everybody started bringing out some tougher vehicles. So there's definitely a ramping difficulty to Firefight, but I think one thing that is definitely the toughest round is round 3, if it does end up being defending your base. A lot of Prometheans spawn in, and for the most part, there isn't a real tactic to really killing them effectively. I think that's one of the rounds where I've previously died over and over again, and even respawning does put you outside of the base, so even getting into that base is pretty tough. So I kind of like that. I think one thing for sure is that you're going to have to find an effective weapon to use against the Prometheans. And I'm actually really happy with Firefight because I'm using a bunch of rec items that I'd normally not use because of those enemies. I think one of my favorites is using the Ghost Ultra, and for the most part I don't like to use the Ghost too much, but the Ghost Ultra was my favorite to use, and I think in one of the matches that I did play, it turned out to be a really great pick for the final wave against that mythic boss. Now, getting into a few things that I believe can get changed up. I'm not sure how the spawning system works. I'm not sure if the spawning system for enemies specifically is on a certain cycle, but every so often those enemies do end up spawning in, and they have a chance to spawn in right on top of you. Now, I'm not sure if that is depending on enemies still being alive in your base, or if it's just a spawn point for them to spawn in to make things tougher. It's definitely hard, and I think one thing for sure is that this round is the toughest round, and I want to really see this one a little bit more polished. I know it is supposed to be tough, it is Warzone Firefight, but I think evening it out with a few more vehicles on the outside, maybe some more Phaetons. For the most part, the Phaeton is kind of just there. It definitely can single you out, but for the most part, everybody's going to be staying inside, safe and sound. So I'm not sure how I feel about this entire round yet. It's definitely a lot of fun, like I said, but things like this can happen where they just spawn in on top of you. So I think having maybe one less Promethean Knight would be nice, but it's definitely possible. Once again, this is one of the rounds where you have to use your good rec items. And next thing that I do want to talk about is the payout for Firefight. It's looking really, really great in the beta. I think Warzone Firefight does give you the most experience and rec points at the very end of the match without any real boosts. I think I played a match for about 15 minutes. I was, I think, second on the leaderboard, and I ended up getting a little over 2,000 RP points, and experience-wise, I think it was around 3,000, 3.5k or 4,000. I'm not sure exactly. But I think RP is what a lot of people are looking for, and getting a consistent 2,000 RP points in a match that lasts about 15 minutes is actually pretty high. I'm not sure if they're going to keep that. Hopefully they will. If you're looking to get a lot of RP points very quickly, I suggest playing Firefight. And definitely use your rec cards. If you don't have any rec cards, I would suggest to get a few. It's going to be really tough, but honestly, it is a ton of fun. I think this is one of the reasons why I saved up so many rec items, and I have so many rec items, and even using those random rec cards are very useful when you kind of run out of these certain items that you like. Although the random rec item does have a little bit of unfortunate circumstances, like one time I got a shotgun, and I didn't really need a shotgun, and it ended up being not that great for the round that I got it, so definitely save up your rec cards. I know I was definitely opening up a few rec packs here and there and saving all those items just in case I need to use them within Warzone Firefight. And of course, the last thing I will give as a tip is you definitely want to jump into a party. That's the best, I think, tip that I could give you all. Jump into a party, jump into a team of 7. If you don't have anyone to really play with, look into joining a Spartan company. Spartan companies are always adding people, and if you play a ton, I am sure they will be adding you, as everybody's trying to grind out the Achilles armor and helmet to get those kill commendations done, get that armor. So look into that. I think it's a ton of fun to play Warzone Firefight. And hopping in to another thing that I think I would like changed is the duration of the match. And here's the thing is, I'm really torn by this because Warzone Firefight seems to be pretty cool. It's good if you use your rec items. If you don't use any rec items, then it is going to be a lot tougher. So, that being said, if you don't use rec items, it's going to be tougher. The matches are going to last longer. If you use rec items, then you're going to have a good time. It's going to still have a little bit of those tough rounds like that certain Promethean round, but for the most part, it isn't too tough. You can finish the match pretty quickly. Like I said, 15 minutes. I know the average duration was estimated around 18 to 20 minutes, but in my experience, 15 minutes is kind of the average, personally for me. Now, I wish they would last a little bit longer. And one thing I definitely want for sure is at the end of the round, depending on what the objective is, let's say it's to kill all the Promethean Knights. If you find all the Promethean Knights and there's still enemies around you, you can shoot them, and it kind of doesn't really offer you bonus points, but at the very end of the round, the enemies do end up getting destroyed and kind of just clearing it out for the next wave to spawn. So I think one tip that I would give is make sure that you put in shots to everything, and that way once they get destroyed, it does give you credit for getting that kill. So that's a big tip for sure if you're looking to get those and grind those kill commendations. One thing I would like added is bonus rounds. I think bonus rounds were really fun in Halo Reach. Having those rounds where you kind of just get weapons and have to end up using them on a ton of grunts is, I think, really, really fun. And even making it a super difficult round where chances are you won't complete it and there are no respawns, I think that would be really, really cool. So for example, let's say there's a bonus round, you have to kill a ghost, but it ends up being a really strong ghost, you can't really kill it in one shot, and your teammates don't respawn, meaning if they die, then they don't respawn until after the bonus round. And if you don't complete the bonus round, you don't get the bonus. I think that would be really cool. Even making it so that there's a mythic boss in the middle of the match, so it kind of gives you a taste of what's to come in round 5, is, I think, a great idea. I think that is one of my biggest suggestions and one of the things that I definitely want to see added to Warzone Firefight. Other than that, that is pretty much it for me today, guys. I know I kind of glanced over it, but I do want to get back into Warzone Firefight, play it a little bit more, get a few more things under my belt, see what I enjoy, and see what I consider something that needs to be tweaked when Warzone Firefight does officially release. Once again, that is pretty much it for me today, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Warzone Firefight gameplay. And one final thing is I will be out of town this weekend. I won't be uploading any serious videos. I'll probably just upload some more Firefight gameplay with kind of just the raw audio, nothing more, just the gameplay, and just a quick heads up. But I'll leave you guys with that. And if you've hopped into Warzone Firefight, let me know how you feel about it. Are you enjoying it? Do you think it's a little too short? Do you think it's a little too long? And what about the difficulty? Are you enjoying it? Are you not enjoying it? And what are some suggestions that you give to 343 to make Warzone Firefight better? Let me know in the comment section. I'll leave you all with that. And as always, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.